Well, speaking of experimental, I think we don't have a special guest today, so I don't expect a lot of people to show up. But the idea here was just to have a chat about the native app that we're building. Some of you guys saw a picture we posted on Twitter. I wish we had one in here, but you can definitely check out our Twitter account and see the concept art of the space. I guess the shortest explanation of what we're doing is just trying to build off of what we're doing in AltSpace, add deeper integration with the network, more robust tools for actually building relationships in here and doing business and that kind of thing. And maybe Tony, you want to tell us people where we're at with that?
Yeah, sure. So, hey, I don't know. I haven't been dropping in on these as frequently as everyone else has, but I'm Tony. I'm working with the Spatial Ape team and Robin to basically build out this new native app. And as Justin said, what we really want to do, the reason we chose to go out of AltSpace was to basically give you the tools inside the space to foster the relationships that we think people in these meetups want to actually foster and to connect with that. And also sort of this second thing on top of that is to let people that maybe can't actually make the meetups every week get more insight into actually what happened and potentially interact with the meetup itself from the web. So current state of affairs is we're building out this really gorgeous space. And as far as our technology stack, we're built on Mirror and Vivox. So Mirror is a networking, open source networking API, and Vivox is Unity's voice piece. And so we hope that we're going to be able to support much bigger events than what we could in AltSpace. And yeah, so that's kind of where things are right now.
Tony, what did you say? Hopefully tomorrow we're gonna have an internal version that we can at least go in together.
Yeah, yep, that's the plan. We have something that's working now, and we'll just see how far we can get it tomorrow. But we'll definitely test it out tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is we're trying to figure out what the best tools are for interacting. So a few of the things that we're building out are giving you the ability to sort of more completely define your profile. And then that means that inside the space, you can more easily bring out things like, well, check this out. This is something that I'm working on. And just like being able to share that type of information in VR, we think is really valuable. You can't really do that in AltSpace. So we're playing around with the idea of like potentially doing really cool VR demos. So being able to actually like bring someone into your VR space inside of the meetup and giving you all the tools to really show that off as well as possible.
Yeah, that was a big thing that we've been discussing. Just like I think the way I frame it in my head is just like when you go to the Oculus store and you download an app, the only way you can tell what you're getting is to watch a video, which to me just seems like the craziest thing ever in 2021. And so we're seeing if we can start to push, forward in the direction of allowing people to bring in little snippets of their actual app into our space so that users can come in there, can give feedback, and maybe even be convinced to make a purchase, which could be pretty cool. So we've been experimenting with different ways to do that, whether through light field capture or 360s or by bringing, game assets into the space, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think that's the major thing about SideQuest, basically. SideQuest, in my opinion, is so extremely successful because people just can go in there, download something, and just test it. So, and that's the thing. So before spending money or something, and also checking what those developers are doing. It's a little bit like a mixture of one of those crowdfunding platforms where you can see how things are just developing, and you somehow a part of that. That's so different from purchasing something. Totally. So they should adopt to that. So this new implementation there, I think, is a good idea. Let's see how it turns out for them.
And the good thing is we can be way more flexible as well, because a big platform like AltSpace, you have to think about the lowest common denominator when you're creating user-generated content. So if you come to AltSpace and say, I've got this great idea, I want to put this thing in AltSpace, they'll be like, no, you've got to look at this API. Look, you've got to fit in these confinements. It's got to be below 2 megabytes.
Sure.
Whereas if we're making our own thing, we can be way more flexible. And if somebody's got a crazy idea and they want to show people how their app works or how this new system works, hopefully we'll be able to bend the world to fit their needs a little bit more.
I mean, anyways, Altspace has its purpose. It's just socializing. It's talking here, and it's not even really about gaming. And in your case, you have this much wider range that you will on people and developers that will probably work with you and are interested. So I think you have to go your own way. Otherwise, imagine something happens to Altspace, anything. Even if their servers are down or whatever, and you have 100 developers on your side and you have an implemented space here, you're done. You're done. I did that once. I developed an app and I used heavily those APIs from Twitter and Facebook. And Facebook started to shut down stuff. So half of the development that I did was gone to the trash can because I couldn't get the data anymore from Facebook. I will never do that again. Do your own stuff. It's better.
Now we just need our own headset.
Yeah, that is the big thing. But on that note, that we are purposefully not using, Oculus SDKs as much as possible to, be as platform agnostic as possible, and make this as future-proof as we can.
Yeah, it reminds me of right at the start of Spatial Ape. A lot of the people here will remember there used to be those little booths around the edge, and we had kind of the start of this around the edge. We had 3D models from different apps, from different games in those little booths, and people would do their talks in that area. And it felt like you were kind of experiencing a little bit of their game, or at least
it was great.
You got a bit more than you would if you just talk about it or you just show it on a screen. So I think iterating on that and making it a bit better each time, bringing in more assets and allowing people to experience it a little bit more each time will be really good. And hopefully we'll get to the point eventually where you can walk into a booth and experience a mini demo version of whatever it is before you go and talk to the creator and then maybe buy it or do something else.
I mean, basically you could start and make a business of that and say we are developing something, call it app snippets, for example, where you make a format out of that, like just an animated object with 2 functions that you can press a button and whatever it does, and just make a format out of that. So others can adopt this as well, so you can sell it.
Yeah, I think you have the exact right idea.
A 3D TikTok with 5-second animation
3D TikTok,
that you can share.
A 3D TikTok, yes, Michael. That's great. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of silly if you think about it that no one's really tried to have these little snippets. I mean, have they? Like, who's tried to do this?
I never saw that.
Space have tried to a limited extent, and some of the other social platforms. But I guess they always come across the problem that somebody tries to break the rules, or somebody tries to access layers of their API that they don't want them to. But that's a side effect of having a big platform, I guess.
And even it's not just like breaking rules.
Or someone with engine access.
Wouldn't there be then? It would be similar to like what they're doing now with Open Brush, and they have the camera angle. You can do a fly through of your artwork, but you have to program the camera direction, how it would move through a particular space. I suppose that would be, you'd have some restraints on what you produce, but you would get the full effect of being there.
We haven't really gotten to it. I would say like next. Yeah, exactly. I would say maybe next week, Tony, we start digging into this. It's taken us a little bit to get kind of the basics going. The one I'm really excited about is using Seurat to do a light field capture and have an actual box that you can dip into that's fully immersive. I think that'd be really cool if we can make that work.
And you guys said that you have plans for making the event sort of reachable in some way through Altspace or other apps, like a video or something, a stream that goes straight into like this room?
We're intending it to be somewhat like Clubhouse, if you know Clubhouse. So basically, each of the booths in the space will be a unique audio channel, and that will have some representation on the website, so you can kind of cycle through them and join in from the web. That's the idea, at least.
Yeah. So then you could have booths that, maybe aren't explicitly about a specific app or game, but can be about a subject matter. And you can get, subject matter experts in there, and they're participating and talking about whatever it is they're talking about, but they're actually getting input from the outside as well. And so they can field questions and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it would be nice to have some
Mel's been
kind of
helping
link
out with the
Altspace.
concept art
Okay.
as well. So we're gonna one of the plans to launch it is to feature the apps from the people that have been helping make it. So Mel and her team with Help Yourself are going to have a space, and Robin will have his app Grand Reality, which will be cool. Daniel Nelmar from VR Trend Magazine is helping us as well, so he'll have a space. If anyone else wants a booth, you just let us know. We're starting to make a list.
Yeah, but I do think that the point that you just said, Robin, about potentially getting some sort of mirror in, maybe in alt space, like that could be something that we build out that you can just plug into any space that lets you sort of talk with whatever the spatial ape space itself.
Yeah, all you want is a window, some kind of interface between the two worlds, so you can wave or just, I don't know, communicate in some way. I mean, I guess that's at the start it will be one way, so you'll be able to see into the Spatial Ape app, but it would be cool if they could just allow two-way communication as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that's pretty low effort without, like, if we build a plugin like that for alt space, it's not something that's really crazy that we would lose out on, because we can expand it and put it in a bunch of different types of VR social apps.
It's possible that mesh program may turn into something that you could use as an interface at some time, from what it sounds like they're putting out.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That could be the infrastructure for an app like this. Who knows where they're at and where we're at by the time it's relevant to us, but certainly an app like ours could be built really well on top of that.
And what's
You got any
plan
cool
right now
feature ideas?
Oh, I'm just curious, what's the plan right now for like person representation? You said you had an idea about like profile pictures or something?
Yeah, well, right now it's going to be basically generic avatars with profile pictures that you upload. So that could be a real photo of you, or it could be, a cartoon photo, whatever you use on your Twitter or something like that. So that it's still identifiable. I'm sure, we're gonna need to spend a lot of time and effort to iterate on the avatars to have the effect that we want, but that's where we're gonna start.
Isn't that going to be a huge nightmare to do censorship on? Because if someone uploads something offensive or something, then you will have to constantly run around and kick them. If you allow them any photo.
That is a very good point. I mean, early on, it's going to could be 6 months before we have more than 1,000 people. Like, we're going to be doing reservations and tickets, and so it's going to be a very small number of people. And so it's going to be easy to censor at first, but yeah, certainly that could be an issue later on.
So what's the plan to get people to kind of find out about the event? So one great thing about Altspace is, I guess, quite a few people will trickle in just because they see this event going on. So what's the plan on distribution?
Yeah, well, I think it's two things. One is we're working to have a semi-formal partnership with, let's say, 25 companies, where it's like they have a booth and they're coming in there on a regular basis and they're telling their community about it. And then the second thing is SideQuest. We're definitely putting a lot of faith in SideQuest to be a distribution source. I mean, yeah, it's great. We may have 5 random people come into one of these during a week, but you see an app on SideQuest, if it gets traction, maybe downloaded 20, 30,000 times in a week. So it really just depends.
Gotcha.
And doing panels like we've been doing has been pretty successful. Like the panel last week drew in a lot of people because the people put it on their network and they were advertising it on their Twitter, and a lot of people that were following them would drop into Altspace. So yes, there's a bit more friction when it comes to creating your own app and them downloading that and then joining, but I think you will still get a lot of people coming in that way, and that on top of our existing community, I think we'll start off with small numbers, and we'll be able to grow them as we have more events and more partnerships.
And still, in my opinion, you can use the social media. You can stream to Instagram and Facebook. Just capture your output of your of one of your devices, like you do here, basically, to Twitch, and you can access other audiences in this case. So that shouldn't be a big deal, in my opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll definitely still be doing a Twitch stream for sure.
Using OBS.
I mean, if you have this window,
Are you
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing right now.
okay?
That's what the
Okay.
cameraman
Okay.
over there is doing.
Okay.
I mean, if you have this window into your own world, you have it in here in space, then you probably already have your funnel that gets people into your game. Because if you come to space, at the beginning, most people will be in space, and only a few will be in the other one. As soon as they see there are more people in the other side than they are here, then they will try to get there as well, and they will have to download the app anyway.
Totally. Like maybe we put the Twitch stream and like we could just have a big screen in here that's streaming Twitch, so that you can at least connect, in a simple way.
I wonder if Space would penalize that if you were actively encouraging people to go onto a different app.
Yeah,
Are
that
they
was
going to
another
take
thing as
issue
well.
with that?
Missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but they
Does
got rid of
anyone
their
really find
moderation
that?
process. So they don't do any kind of manual moderation now of the main events. So who knows? It's hard to say. I could see why they wouldn't want it, but I wonder if they actually have a mechanism to make a decision like that.
Well, I think there are so many different events in here, and they're all triggering to pull people to somewhere else. You always see a big screen that says, come to our Discord website, whatever. In that case, they should have turned all of them down. I don't think that could be a big problem. I would just place 3 avatars in here, so it looks a bit lively, and that's it, basically.
Yeah,
They need to have chat bots, like I think there's definitely space for somebody to develop a avatar chat bot, that's kind of, AI GPT generated conversations.
Tony's GPT-3.
Questions.
This guy's GPT-3. You guys didn't know that? I should have said that at the beginning.
Yeah, there's definitely a market there, isn't there, for like animated cat avatars.
Yeah, just somebody like an information kiosk, and you walk up and say, ask a question.
Well, another cool version of that I've thought of before is like, okay, let's say you're Michael and you have the VR workout booth, and let's say he's there 20 weeks in a row and he answers 1,000 questions, and then the next week he goes on vacation. Well, maybe there should be an AI version of him that has all the answers to all those questions that he's already answered, be like an extension of himself, and maybe even use his own voice to answer them. Could be really cool.
Well, as far as I know, that exists. Those guys are called politicians.
Boom!
So you got the backwards. They're always on vacation and aren't answering questions.
It is. It's interesting as just like a in terms of target demographic, because it seems like most apps, they're always like, oh, it's this kind of eternal struggle to get on the Oculus store, but this is an event specifically for developers, and the difficulty of getting on SideQuest is like, oh, you need to sign up as a developer, you need to know kind of how to sideload and stuff, but everyone we're looking for, like all of the indie devs, everyone who this event is perfect for, is already doing that. So it's not even that much of a deterrent to have it as a side quest app.
Yeah, totally.
And eventually, it'll hopefully be on App Lab. I guess that could be another distribution channel if they ever open it up to other developers.
Maybe the Yeti shows up.
When should we apply to App Lab? Like,
I said, or maybe the Yeti shows up. That would probably happen before you go to App Lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to turn out App Lab is more exclusive than the Oculus store.
Yeah, right.
Why do you think that, Tony? Because they just don't have the bandwidth to be able to vet all those apps coming through?
Well, I mean, it's kind of mostly a joke, but the fact that, that the number is so small right now, it's kind of funny that they couldn't have launched a more automated process. It really is supposed to be just. I mean, they're clearly still doing quality or content moderation of some sort, and it's very slow. And I guess no one really knows what people are getting denied for yet or not.
I've seen apps updating themselves more frequently now. I wonder if that's in response to feedback from App Lab. I can't see what's going on behind that, but
yeah,
I've
that might be
seen
true.
a lot more rollouts.
Has
We were
anybody tried the
wondering
new
last week-
Oculus hand tracking apps? They've put out a couple have come out on App Lab. There's one is a getting
have you?
started. No, I've not tried it yet. I've not had a chance, but they look interesting. One of them is the first steps guided introduction, but with hand tracking. So that, yeah, definitely give that one a go.
Nice.
They
Yeah,
just
I saw
had
they-
V26 of the firmware. I don't know what that means, but they're also rolling those things out every couple of weeks now.
Oh, cool.
Michael, what's going on with your with the VR workout this week?
Well, we're still in the winter games, so I'm still trying to get people to actually work out. I'm not sure if you watched the stream of Kyle Jefferson Rogers. It's so funny because he does all those fitness. He does a lot of fitness games in the winter games, and he started trying out VR workout, and it was really breathing, so he really could feel his lungs when he was doing it. And the funny thing is he's doing it now for about a week, and you really can see the progress. So he really, I mean, at first he was swearing like a sailor, and he was really like constantly saying "fuck that" and "fuck this," and now he's doing it and he's barely complaining at all. So there's really quite the increase in I'd say in fitness, but it's getting easier for him. As far as I understand, the real engagement in the winter games will come at the end of this week because a lot of games are scheduled to do their stuff. Not at the beginning and when I started it, but more towards the end. So I'm noticing a lot of people are coming now and trying it out. Currently, we are about, I think it's around 1,400 people who tried it since winter games started. Yeah, not a lot of people are actually doing the contest, so they can't really win anything, which is quite surprising because we played out $100 the first week, and we are playing out $100 this week and next 2 weeks as well. So since there are so few people who are actually posting their results, it's quite easy to actually win something.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, those are great numbers. That's quite a few people for one specific event. That's awesome.
Yeah, they say they had around about 4,000 participants in overall, and compared to the fitness summit in fall, that's about 5 times as many people. So I think it's about the same increase you got from the Quest 1 to the Quest 2. So the download numbers jumped by 5 times, and now you have 5 times more, 5 times the number of participants. So that kind of resonates with how much more people are using the Quest.
Yeah, especially if a lot of
actually,
them are the same people from the first time. That means they'll be there for the third time.
Yeah.
I was playing VR Workout this week because I'd heard about it so much and I never ended up downloading it before. So I downloaded it and I was having a great time. I was actually curious in terms of your roadmap. Currently, you have a sort of robotic voice that talks along with you, and it's like stand, push-ups, whatever. I have a theatrical background. And I was curious if you're looking for different like voice alternatives for that that function in the app.
I'm definitely looking at replacing the voice at some point. The reason why I haven't done so is since it's not finished, I would have to redo it every time I'm changing something. So I'm trying to avoid because I was thinking about hiring a voice actor to actually do that or someone else, but I would only have a snapshot of what I need now, and then I would be limited by what if I want to add something. Because now I'm going to add. I'm calling it parkour. It's not really parkour, but it's going to be a new exercise where you have to actually do a lot of running to get energy to actually break stuff. So you will have obstacles you have to duck under, then something you have to jump over, and it will be a short sprint, say 42 seconds. You have to engage a lot to actually put up energy. And there's a lot of a new voice commands you will get, like hit the deck or go to the ground, then jump up. And I have to add a lot of additional voices. And now currently I'm using the Google WaveNet, so I can go back around the same thing, and that's why I have this robotic voice at the moment. But I'm definitely, if it reaches a level where I say there isn't coming too much more, then I will try to get a. If you're interested, I'm definitely interested to include your voice.
Can you give us a quick sample, Woodrow? What kind of thing were you going for?
Well, I guess I was curious what you were thinking of, because I feel like in that sort of I don't know, like robotic scenario, people talking to you, often the first thought people have is like a female voice with a British, received pronunciation, like kind of high class accent. But I don't know. I was curious if you wanted like a robot kind of announcer voice, because that I feel like I could do. You put a little bit of a robot filter on it. It's like push-ups, and it's this more kind of like boom, like I don't know, almost like football announcer thing, like you've got this kind of thing. Yeah, so I don't know. And I was just thinking of like throwing some together, putting a filter on it, and just giving them to you if you want to use them. Just because I was enjoying the app, and I was like, I'd love to like add some
actually
very enthusiastic dialogue to this.
It's a bit too late for the winter games, but I was thinking about what I wanted to do, but I didn't because I didn't have the time. I wanted to make a special session, a special stage for the winter games, where you had, when you entered it, you had this welcome to the winter games and stuff like that. And I tried to do it on my own, but my voice is shitty, so I really didn't get anything that was really enjoyable. So I scrapped it. But if I had known that, then I would have added it. But I'm going to do more contests in the future. So I'm trying to focus more on content, so that people have, especially when the multiplayer is stable enough, so that people can actually because what I saw is from the winter games is, if you have a contest and if you have something people can actually compete against, then they are actually going against each other. So the first one who managed to get rank A in the winter games, he actually forced others to do the same, and they had much more people in the rank A, which is it's a really hard worker to achieve. But there were much more people in there because everyone wanted to get it, and much fewer people in the lower ranks. So this social dynamic is really something you can capitalize on to make something really interesting. And for that, I want to make contests, and for that, it would be really great if you have those announcing voices to make it like a real event.
If you want like a welcome to the winter games, that I got you. That I can do.
Yeah.
So just hit me up.
You can send it to me. It will be, I will still edit it if it's in time.
Cool.
He's got the job.
Yeah, that was
it's great that you enjoyed it. It's great that you enjoyed it. So it's I get mostly positive feedback. I mean, there are a lot of people who expect a game and don't really get this game thing, so they aren't really that enjoying it. But those people who are using it for fitness generally enjoy it quite well.
Yeah, I wish I had a mat. I wish I had like a floor mat, because going up and down on the floor, the only problem is just that like my floor is sort of hard. But if I had like some sort of mat to work on, it'd be fantastic.
A few people are using mats to actually ground themselves and know where they are standing, so that you feel if you're leaving. Because currently one downside is that, especially if you're doing the jumping exercises, you drift a lot back and forth, and I will have to add some way to guide the user back to the center. So that's really not the problem at the moment. But some people are using mats to know where they are and don't, without actually having to look around. So I think it's a really great way to do it. There are special mats for VR, which are special cutouts, so you actually feel it where you are. And
So the firmware, this is just a random question, but this is the perfect group of people to ask. The firmware, I think 25 and 26 that just recently were pushed. It was like in the last week for Oculus.
Yeah.
The place that I'm developing some stuff right now as an intern, they're having issues with that. I'm curious if anyone else who's currently developing have had this. It disabled foveated rendering, which was on automatically before in their app, but now it's no longer functioning properly. So the dynamic resolution is kicking in, and it looks worse because the whole screen is lower res, and it performs worse as well because the foveated rendering isn't running. No one else has had that problem. Is that just a them thing, or is that an Oculus firmware thing?
I
haven't seen that problem
myself.
I'm going to check the settings. Yeah.
I do worry.
Hey Tony, what's the? Oh, sorry.
Well, just that their software efforts are getting so big. I wonder that they're getting too big and slow and starting to hit a wall and regress a little bit. It seems like the last few updates they haven't necessarily moved forward as quickly as they used to.
But having a problem with foveated rendering seems like something that you have to catch in QA because someone will notice that there is a problem.
Hey Tony, what I came in late, so you might have already answered this, but what's the tech stack of the native app?
Yeah, so it's built on Mirror, the Mirror library, which is an open source networking library. So we're hosting our own servers for all the avatar and scene networking, and then we're doing Vivox for audio. So
nice.
it basically just takes positional data and then mixes all the audio, so each person hears positional audio. Which one of the features that we're considering is actually creating like little rooms within the space as well. So you could potentially have like conversations that are a little bit more intimate, and they could be private. So like if there's like a little booth for a specific app, potentially we close that off so the people that are in there are only talking amongst themselves, which is, I think, pretty interesting. It's just a matter of testing it out and seeing how people like that or not. But I don't know if anyone has an opinion on.
That's an interesting idea.
That would feel.
Yeah, basically tomorrow we're going to have finally like the first version that we can get in there. And I think that's going to teach us a lot. And then we can kind of narrow down some of these ideas.
Yeah.
Well,
So
invite us to the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think either next week or the week after, we'll at least be telling you where to go sign up and get an APK and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, definitely we want everyone in there. It's going to be awesome.
So is there any kind of plan for, when let's say the event time is not specifically running, what would go on if you entered into the app? Is the sort of demo room just always available to people and then people populate it during whatever time we put the event in? Is there an idea to expand like the amount of time people can spend in the Spatial Ape world?
Yeah. Well, I think on the first day, it's literally just not going to work except during the event. Just because that's the simplest to implement. But certainly
It's not true.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It'll actually be easier to just leave it open all the time.
Well, okay, yeah. I see what you're saying.
But we may do the extra effort and close it.
Yeah, there's always the risk that somebody's going to turn up or miss it by an hour or get their time zones wrong, and it'll be completely empty in a ghost town, and that will put them off and they'll never come back. So I guess having it narrowed down to a very select time might be beneficial to start with, and then hopefully enough people will be coming all the time that you could just turn up at any time and there'll be people there talking.
Right.
Yeah, like I think it needs to be clear if it's if it's not during the time, I'm hesitant to let people in because we don't want people to have the experience that we're not, that's not the experience that we're designing. And then they go tell people, oh, no one was there, like it wasn't fun, that kind of thing. That would worry me.
Unless we get these robot avatars sorted pretty soon and you just turn up.
Yes.
There's hundreds of people and they're all robots.
Exactly.
They all wanted to talk about tacos for some reason.
Yeah.
But you probably have something like an announcement systems, like let's say I'm going in there and I say I'm interested in booth number 2, whatever, and so that when this space or for this booth something is happening, you will email me or something. I guess so.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's a good idea.
Agreed.
Another thing we've talked about in terms of email is in your profile. It would be great, like let's say to use, let's say Robin's app as an example. Like say Robin has a booth. In Robin's profile, he could add his SideQuest download link, and then if you visit the booth, you can just click one click within VR, and you'll get an email to download his app, which would be a nice way to kind of connect the two.
That's a cool idea.
It'd be pretty simple to build.
I mean, that's the core of your idea, basically connecting people. Like there's someone who has something to share, and the others need the contact, and that's so.
Yes.
That's the main
Yeah,
thing.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, there are so many steps right now. If you meet somebody in AltSpace or anywhere else in VR, if you want to then get to what they are trying to tell you about, it is so difficult to make that step. I think just cutting down a few of those barriers will be hugely valuable.
Definitely.
Mel, have you guys started planning the next version of Help Yourself, or are you still taking a break?
We're still taking a break right now.
Oh, nice.
On Monday, we have a little sprint planning and make a little long-term plan on what do we do now. And it's our official last semester of university. We will see which milestones we are going to get done.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive what y'all were able to create while going to school at the same time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we thought we had much more time, but classes said no, and we had to do a lot of paperwork and other class stuff, and it was really annoying. But
I listened
I
to
will get a master, so that's nice.
Yeah, there you go. Are you gonna want it before you graduate? Are you gonna say, okay, it's finished, and then try to put it on the Quest store?
No, we will work after graduation on it till the next year, I think. And maybe we will, what is it in English? Make a company.
Yeah, great.
In the team.
Awesome.
I listened to an interview with Shane from SideQuest, and he mentioned Help Yourself as an example of a great game on SideQuest. He was asked, can you give us any examples of a great game? And he came up with Help Yourself. So you've got a big fan there, I think.
All right. Well, we don't have all that much today, so. But it was good to get to be able to share our
like
plans with everyone
busy,
and get a little bit of feedback.
You must have a lot more to do.
Yeah, we went through networking hell last week, leading through this week. Robin and I were spending a bunch of time getting everything sorted out, but thankfully, I think we're over that hurdle, and now the fun part begins.
Wow, absolutely. Now you do the obfuscation testing. You can go in and see how people,
Totally
hit things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just to be able to introduce little creative things each week, I think is going to go a really long way toward making this experience fresh to come to every time.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 week the physics are a little different, or maybe 1 week like I have a funny avatar that can do stuff, and just keeping it constantly changing and keeping everyone involved in the progress, I think is going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and a big thing about it is we want the community to be very active in actually building it. So it's very likely that within the space you'll be able to actually vote on upcoming features and actually influence like our roadmap, and what's like all the coolest stuff that would help you show off what you're building. What sort of tools is that, or is there something else you want to be able to like communicate with the outside world? And so I think it's gonna be really exciting from that respect, that everyone inside is gonna get to actually sort of help build or set the direction of where it goes.
For sure.
Whoa, the camera came alive.
It's a GPT mechanism running.
I was just shifting him a little bit. Trying
you got
to
it.
use my keyboard while in VR, yeah.
Nice. Good work there.
And we'll actually have cameras that look like cameras, or
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And that don't break open when you do things.
yeah.
Or if they
Are
do
you
break,
guys
it'll be in
planning
different
on-
ways.
Are you planning on multiple methods of locomotion?
Multiple methods of motion.
Of locomotion,
what you
like, because you kind of need to have teleport in case, people are particularly sensitive. Are you planning on having like a teleport mode and also a movement mode, or the tunnel vision for movement to help with motion
We
sickness?
probably won't have tunnel vision day one, but we will have like just regular locomotion and teleportation.
Cool.
What about are there any plans to introduce reactions?
Yeah, I mean, of course, but what they are, we don't really know yet. But yeah, we'll have. Eventually, we want everything to be in there, but as of now, our avatars are pretty basic. So that's going
Where'd
to
you
take
get
a
the
lot of
avatars
effort.
from?
We just literally just built them ourselves in Unity, so they're nothing special. But we'll have an avatar pass sometime in the next week or two, where we actually get a more decent looking avatar designed, and maybe it's we actually let you pick the look of your avatar on the web before you even go into the experience. So one of the big things that we want to get to is be able to just put on the headset and put in like a short code that you get from the website, and everything is set up after that. You don't have to worry about configuring anything. And then on future sessions, you don't even have to put in the short code, because it's just literally going to be the app is just gets you into the space. So
That's cool.
We
Actually
wanted to do
stumbled-
that function and do it quickly. Yeah.
That's cool. I actually stumbled upon a service on Twitter a couple days ago. Forgot the name, but I think I bookmarked it. But you essentially take a photo of yourself, and it generates an avatar that looks similar to what you look like and what you were wearing.
Yeah, readyplayer.me, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think that was it.
And those
Yeah,
are
it's
VR
specifically
chat
for
avatars,
VR
right?
chat. I think they've gotten like 30,000 users in the last week.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's a lot. But in the end, I mean, so the big question is: are avatars so important for your environment in this case? Are people
I don't
really
think so.
much? Me too. I mean, think about what Mozilla is doing. For example, in Mozilla Hubs, you have very basic avatars. It's a very simple process to pick one, and I think people are also happy with that. Nobody is going to you to have a fancy avatar.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think it's more important.
The context. Yeah.
I was just say it's more important, I think, to let people bring their content into VR. Like if you can bring your portfolio and your favorite memes and all of these things, like this media is what you can use to express yourself. I think that's way more important than, a slightly better avatar. Like, honestly, within 2 years, we might be getting pretty close to like volumetric, face tracking, like all these avatars are going to change so much in the next 18 months that I'm way more focused on, getting expressive media and portfolio and those kind of things. That's just my opinion.
I wonder if there will establish a standard for having avatars in multiple programs, so you don't have to set up in this program and then other avatar in that program.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of
that's
what
coming,
Mesh is
surely.
doing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Probably VR chat.
Well, it's either got to be supported at the OS level, like by Facebook, and maybe like the hardware manufacturers come together with some, standardized consortium or something, or it has to be like a middleware company that goes and makes deals with all the developers and says, hey, let's all use the same avatar system. And so far, no one's really tried to do the first thing, but something like ReadyPlayer.me, I think they are taking that second strategy. They started with VR chat, and I think they'll slowly will try to support more and more and more apps until they become a middleware standard.
Interesting. Although I think I'm right in saying that Oculus avatars are cross-platform. You can use them in Steam technically.
Gotcha. I didn't realize that.
But not. You can't create an Oculus app for different hardware and leverage those avatars.
I don't know. Yeah, I read
Can
somewhere
you?
that you can access the Avatar SDK from Steam, but maybe they have to or have already set up an avatar in their Oculus account. I don't know how that works.
I don't know if that's changed, but that's how it was set up in like probably about a year ago with the OVR SDK, Avatar SDK.
I did have an idea recently, because you guys were just a little while ago talking about the reactions, like how AltSpace has this.
Right.
This is nice because you can't actually clap, right? Because we all have giant plastic things in our hands, and if you clap, you'll break them. So I was talking to someone. About like how you could solve the kind of clapping problem, because clapping especially an event, where you have a speaker, it's nice. It feels good. It's like we're all used to that, and it kind of releases the energy. Everyone being able to make sound. So I had an idea that if you guys want some sort of clapping function that feels natural, maybe you could consider, instead of destroying your controllers by hitting them together. Natural motion is if people just shake their hands like that. It makes little maraca sounds, like kind of sounds
I like that.
Ooh,
That's
celebrate,
funny. I
we're
like it.
clapping. Because it's a really, you just tell someone, shake like a maraca, and they immediately know what you're talking about. It's a very natural motion. We all know what that is. And we all know what sound it's going to make. And if it makes that sound, and everyone makes that sound, it sounds like the room is celebrating. So it's kind of like this little VR version of clapping, because we can't hit our hands
Oh,
together.
you can also clap like deaf people. They are shaking just the hands like that.
Jazz
Just
hands.
going like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this discussion in Grand Reality.
Sorry.
I was just saying, I was just going to say that in Grand Reality, when we have concerts, you can do a similar things you can here, where you just create a clapping emoji and it spins around and it creates a clapping sound. But because we're using hand tracking, you can actually clap in real life. But the problem is the Oculus hand tracking makes your hands disappear when they get too close, because they occlude and it's not possible to interlake hands. So people were saying, things like thumbs up or like hands in the air or just another gesture to trigger the clapping emotion. But it needs to be visual, because you want the performer to see that you're enjoying it and you want to see that they're applauding. So it has to be something that is very obvious.
Maybe we'll just always give you a vuvuzela that you can like grab by the waist.
That'd be horrible.